the next part of the project now is to sand it all down. So I decided to use an air compressor because I wanted to wet sand. So I've got these P80 discs, and I'll hopefully be able to create no dust, purely because obviously it's a wet sand, and because it's wet, air compressor is the best. So it's probably going to take a long time, this actually, because I've got obviously a lot of sanding to do. So if I don't upload any videos the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's because I'm doing this, and there's only so much you can see of somebody sanding down. But we'll see how we get on. Little test area. So this bit was a test area, and it's the first time I've used a wet sander with an air compressor. The only problem is my compressor's obviously too small, and the sander was actually sort of slowing down way too much, so that wasn't effective, nor was the P80 grit wet and dry pad that I used, which would have to go down in grit size to P40 maybe, because I wanted to take all this red paint off ideally, but it wasn't going to happen with this one. So the wet sander's not too bad, but it's too slow. Got a nice finish up following sanding, so I'm gonna have to sand it with a dry sander and then go over it with a wet. Damn, defeats the object really. If I can get in a compressor, I could just wait for the pads, but for different pads. But let's see how I get on with the dry. Gotta say it looks a lot better. You may have seen on the last video when I cut the hardtop front off, the first part off, it left a gap. Obviously when I put this lip on, between the end of the hardboard, the Hardybacker board and the trim, there's like I said, there's a gap that needed to be filled. So just as a belt and braces approach, I filled in the whole front of it, so no water ingress could happen. So once I've put all this filler in, you'll see me push it in with my fingers. It just made sure I squeezed it on basically, and then smoothed it off, sanded it, and it was ready for painting. Let's get a thin layer on first, follow it up with a thick layer. So here I'm using a gel coat with a wax additive 2%. This makes it into a top coat. The only problem is with this is if you won't put it on thick and it goes on too thin and you want to recoat it, then you won't be able to, simply because you put the wax additive in it. With that in mind, I've put a really thick coat on the top. However, looking at the finished product now it's dried, I might need another coat on the front of it, but that'll mean me sanding it down to take away the wax additive to allow another coat to set, so I might leave that one. But yeah, it looks really good at the end of it, and I was really pleased. So whilst my top coat was drying, I thought, what can I do next? So I thought, well, the transom needs a bit of flattening out. It needs to be preparing for paint. Seems I'm sending my bloody life away at the moment, but yeah, I'll explain what I'm going to do with the transom next because there are a few dips in it. I've got a big bit. You can't see that. As you can see, it gets a bit wide there. Just that bit there. So rather than sand it down a bit, but rather than do that, I think I'm going to build it up with a bit of glass. This was fairing, not fairing, it was polyester resin, vinyl ester resin. So nice solid base. It's got fibres in it, so I'll put a bit around that, fill it or fair it, bring it out. But I need a little bit of glass in this little bit just to build it out. I don't really want to fill that full of fairing compound. So just a tad more glass. You'll see me build up in small layers to large layers as I go on. It was the best way to fill this this gap, as well as make it a little bit stronger than just putting multi-layers on, because then if one ever delaminates, then the whole lot delaminates. So starting small and working up is the best way forward, apparently.